What's up, everyone? How's it going? Today, I'm gonna give you a recap of my Netflix trade, and here are the trades I took. And let's get into it, right? So I know there's a lot of screenshots, but it's because I took basically 1.5 wins today in Netflix. As you know, it was a little bit tough for me to read the proper action today, but I'll break down what I saw, right? So if we look from left to right, you can see that the chart is clearly trending to the upside, right? So if the chart's trending to the upside, I'm not going to try to be a smartass and try to time the top. Instead, I'm just going to ride the trend. So when the first 5 minute candle opened in the day, this right here, this green line is the opening price. So that's the opening price when it first opened. You could see that price barely wicked below it and closed almost at the immediate highs, right? So in my eyes, that itself is a very bullish, a very bullish sentiment and read on the intraday chart for me personally, just because the daily is, in sync and is moving to the upside. The first 5 minute candle is very bullish. So it just comes down to where is my entry going to be, right? So my first entry was actually around this area here, inside this green bar, when I saw that we caught basically a pullback. We caught a potential higher low here. So potential higher low broke up to the outside, broke up to the upside. I'm sorry about that. As you see, we did create a inside bar here. So inside bar inside that prior bar is high, right? Once that broke out, caught a super nice ride to the upside. I took 10 contracts here around this candle, took 5 off here, right? So that itself, took 5 off there. So that itself, it's basically so and so a win, right? But how did the stock end up playing for the rest of the session, right? So basically for myself and how I like to trade as a trader is that I like to hold for bigger moves. And when I entered that trade, I was honestly looking for more. Like I saw 98, but in all, like, to be totally honest with you, this is basically a 2 hour trade, like stops right there, 2 hour trade. But to be fairly honest with you, I was looking for about 100 because that's the next psychological whole number, and I had a resistance marked out there. But clearly, we didn't get that. So the first half of my trade was a W, right? So sold half up here, 5 trades, 5 contracts taken off here. And the next entry I had, right, was right here. Why did I enter into this level? Because I had my priorities high there, so that was somewhat of a reference point for me. It looked like we were creating a potential higher low off of this level, which was validated, right? So this would have been my stop for my original trade. This right here, breaking above this high of day, essentially was confirming the potential higher low turning into higher low, right? So potential higher low when I first enter in, right? And then once it breaks out of the making a new high of day, right? That actually becomes a higher low, right? So high low is now confirmed, right? So because we had a high low confirmed, I just kind of saw like, oh, maybe we pull back here, tag the 20 EMA, and then also hold the priorities high and rally back up to the upside. Maybe go for that 100 whole number, right? Get like another squeeze in the day, right? Because if I'm looking at the daily chart while it's forming, I just couldn't have seen this turn into like a full on like reversal doji gravestone candle where like, okay, like I can't really get a good box here. So I just had a hard time just based off my own experiences, just seeing like, okay, like this J just turns completely red to the downside like that, right? Like I just couldn't see that happening personally, especially if you look at the NASDAQ. Qs were honestly like rallying very well, like holds above the opening print, pulls back, rallies, pulls back, rally. That means buyers are in control, right? So every pullback is getting bought up. So clearly buyers in control. So why would I want to, why do I want to fight against that? And we also opened up at the lower end of this range where buyers clearly have been buying into the market. So back to Netflix, I essentially took half off there and ended up adding another, I think, 2 or 3 contracts here, looking for a new high of day. So looking to take the contracts off up here again, as well as that 100 whole number I was looking for, right? But clearly, this is where things got a little iffy, right? Typically with these candles, like when they pull back, I want to see a nice strong buying reaction. Like, so pulls back, buyer step in instantly, right? Pulls back, I want to see buyer step in instantly. At first, if you only look at basically right here, right? If you only look up to this one candle here, everything was looking good, right? So just imagine it was this. This is basically what I was watching, right? Super strength, strong rally to the upside, pulls back, potential higher low, gets bought up, bought up, bought up, bought up, cracks new high of day, pulls back, right? Pulls back into the priority high, which is this white line right here, 20 EMA on the 5 minute. In my eyes, we could create a potential higher low right here, right? Risking the stops below this area still. If we take a look further, right? So let's take a look at the next candle. I'm like, next candle is looking okay. Premiums are back to basically almost at break even, slightly green, okay, now like, this is struggling right now. I see this next bar here and I'm like, you know, in the perfect world, we would have just gone straight up, but trading isn't really like that. It's not a perfect picture. So at this point, I'm like, let me see if we could hold this pivot low, right? So in my eyes, the new stop loss for me ideally is below this new pivot low, right? So I'll just remove prior day's high level right here. This new pivot low is my stop loss. Let's take a look over. Okay, next candle looks pretty good. Almost a bearish engulfing candle. Pulls back again. Now we're just kind of in chop consolidation zone, headed towards 11 o'clock. Slight buying here, and then this is where I got out of my position, right? So this candle right here, hindsight, right? Like this candle right here was when I was like, I just get out my position here because essentially I don't want to give back my full gains on this position, and I could just reevaluate, right? Reevaluate and see that, because I'm still bullish on the stock. Don't get me wrong, I'm bullish on the day still. I just would rather, because I don't know if this could continuously sell off and crack this pivot low and break below the opening print and continuously fade. That for all I know, what's going on with this current price action that I'm provided with is that we are creating lower highs, right? So lower highs are being created, right? See, like downtrend, intraday downtrend, right? Lower highs are being created. So the next thing that got me back into the actual trade was right here. I ended up entering right here at this given point when I saw that this could have acted as a very low risk reversal entry back in, because all I wanted to see was some type of a green bar and the prior green bar's high getting taken out while risking this pivot low, right? So if I entered here, my R to R is relatively pretty good, right? So I'm basically, just to get back to Hive Day, I'm looking at a 3R trade here, right? So this is 2R, this is 3R. And essentially all I was looking for again was a new Hive Day. That's it. If you take a look to the right side, we ended up reversing pretty cleanly off of that right here, this pause bar, reversal to the upside. And yeah, it ended up reversing pretty well. Ended up taking off the rest of my contracts around right here. And then when this 5-minute bearish bar formed, I let it pop up a little more and got out right here, basically. So that was essentially my trade on Netflix today. It was a little bit of a tricky trader, I'm not going to lie. What could I have done better? Honestly, I don't think I could have done anything better, right? Everything that while I was trading the whole entire time, I was literally watching it bar by bar. I was managing my position bar by bar, right? Essentially, I wanted to get like a 50% trade, if we got the 100 whole number level, 50, 60, 70% trade, right? But in all reality, that just wasn't the case, right? The price action that was provided to me just didn't give me what I wanted, right? And sometimes, like when you're in a position, or at least for myself, I can speak for myself here, is that sometimes when I'm frustrated or when I'm trading and I'm in a position, I try to create a narrative that doesn't really exist just to ease my mind. Sometimes I try to force the trade onto the chart, even though the chart is like not even confirming, right? But I think a really good thing that I did today was just, reading price action bar by bar and allowing the trade to work out, and then cutting it when it was clearly getting validated at that given point. you know so in theory, first traded here from this potential higher low to high of day, took 10 contracts total, took 5 off here, pulled back, added 3 more. So at this point I think it was in 8 contracts, ended up cutting the 8 contracts here for about a small loser, ended up re-entering, I want to say 8 contracts, but the following week's option, because at this point I didn't want to, it was a little risky position and I didn't want to take a weekly calls again, as premium would have burned pretty much very, very hard as we're trading midday. And if we ended up cracking to low of day, my premiums got cooked. So I took next week's contracts and ended up taking out around Hive Day and then this 5-minute bar close. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that short little trade recap. And I'll hope to catch you guys in the next trade review or whatever other content that I end up creating. Maybe some educational content, maybe some candlestick content. Don't really know yet, but as of now, treating this as a trade journal, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.